88.7 FM. Online, GoBrave.org. A TuneIn radio station. Part of the William Patterson Broadcast Network.
Broadcasting live from Hobart Hall in Wayne, New Jersey.
This is
The innovative.
I think they're really unique.
The fearless.
They have awesome variety.
The kick-ass.
I love Brave New Radio.
The sensational.
I've never heard anything like it.
This is the one and only Brave New Radio.
The views and opinions expressed on this show are solely those of the host and guest and are not necessarily supported by WPSC 88.7 FM, station management, or the station owner, William Patterson University. Anyone wanting to offer differing opinions may do so by calling the show at 973-720-2738. Abusive callers will be rejected. Now here's your program on WP 88.7 FM, Brave New Radio.
Well, good morning, good morning. Good morning to you. For those of you who have risen early to tune in to the show, good morning again. This is your host, Marc Medley. We come to you live each week on Saturday mornings from 6 o'clock a.m. to 7 o'clock a.m. with the Reading Circle. And then in the 7 o'clock hour, we have the M&M hour. And in the 8 o'clock hour, we have Martha and Friends. And then on some time, we rearrange things or we'll extend things like we intend to do this morning, and that is we'll do an extended version of the Reading Circle where I'll have two guests and we'll have a Reading Circle double header. And so far I do not see my 6 o'clock guests calling in. Every now and again it may happen. Sometimes they're running late, they may have overslept, they may have forgotten or what have you, but I have two guests on tap today. If you've been looking at any of my social media sites, you know I have Harrine Freeman at 6 and Omar Tyree at 7:30. Now, if in the event that either one of them don't show up, there's always a plan B. And that's where we'll just default to the gospel music, which the other 2 hours are anyhow. So I'll tell you what, while we are awaiting Harrine to call, if she calls, we're going to go ahead and get started with our normal ritual and routine, and that is from reading from two books. And before I do that, I'm going to share the weather with you, let you know what's going on with the weather right here in the Wayne, New Jersey area. And if Harrine has called in by then, I'll get her introduced. And if not, then we'll put the gospel music on for a little while. And then by 7:30, whenever Omar calls, we'll continue on with his interview. So right now, it is 34.6 degrees here in the Wayne, New Jersey area. We're moving up to a high of 56. Partly cloudy skies today, mainly clear tonight. Then tomorrow, Easter Sunday. Today is Easter Eve. Tomorrow is Easter Sunday, 55 as a high, 38 as a low. Expected to be partly cloudy tomorrow. Partly cloudy skies. Early will give way to cloudy skies and light rain after midnight. We have a 60% chance of rain after midnight. And then on Monday, periods of rain, high of 62, low of 37. A few clouds on Monday night. Tuesday, partly cloudy skies, high of 55. Clearing up on Tuesday night, low near 30. And then as we round out the forecast here on Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, high of 58, low of 41. Few clouds on Wednesday night, and again, as I said, a low of 41. Well, that is the weather brought to you right here from the WP 88.7 FM Weather Center, and that's the weather going on in the northern New Jersey in the Wayne, New Jersey area. Well, we're going to read from our two books. The first is The Power of Being Thankful by Joyce Myers. We're going to read from that, and then we're going to read from Until Today by Ian Van Zant. So I kicked the show off with those two because they are daily devotionals, and it just sets a positive tone throughout the rest of the morning. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then, as I said, if my guest has called in, I'll introduce her. If she's not, we'll move on into something else. We'll move on into Plan B. for today, March the 26th, from the book. Looks like that's her now. Hold on. Harrine? Good morning. You're on the reading circle. Okay, maybe that's not her. Okay. Hello. Oh, it is her. Harrine?
Yes.
Good morning. How are you?
Okay, how are you?
Good. We're right in the opening of the show, so just hang on and I'll get you introduced.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, as I said, I'm reading from two books. I'm reading from The Power of Being Thankful, 365 Devotions for Discovering the Strength of Gratitude. So today, for March the 26th, dealing with unresolved issues. If possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. We all have days when we feel more emotional than other days. This can happen for many reasons, but sometimes we feel emotional because something upset us the day before and we didn't resolve it. I remember a night when I was unable to sleep. Finally, around 5 in the morning, I asked God what was wrong with me. Immediately, I recalled the situation from the day before in which I had been rude to someone. Instead of apologizing to them and asking God to forgive me, I rushed on to the next thing in my day. Obviously, my conduct was irritating my spirit. As soon as I asked God to forgive me and made a decision to apologize to the person, I was able to go to sleep. If you feel unusually sad or as if you are carrying a heavy burden, ask God what is wrong. And when He shows you, be grateful that you have a chance to make the situation right. Prayer of thanks. I thank you, Father, that you want me to live in peace. If there are any unresolved issues that are causing me to feel anxious or burdened, I ask you to show them to me and give me the strength and wisdom to resolve them. I thank you that you will be with me every step of the way. And from Ian Levant's book, Until Today, for March the 26th, she says, I open my heart and mind to be aware. I have to establish inner cooperation in order to have outer results. It is important that you do not send people mixed messages. A mixed message is one in which you say one thing and do something else. A mixed message is a sure sign that there is a part of you that doesn't believe you can have what you want. It is also a sure sign that you probably won't get what you want. If you talk about the actions or attitudes of people but never request a change, you probably won't see a change. If you say you want to grow but you make no steps to make it happen, it probably will not happen. If you really want to change or to have a particular experience, you must always believe you have the right to have it. When you do not believe you do, you will send out a mixed message. A mixed message is clear evidence that there is a conflict between the I am unworthy aspect of you and the I am worthy aspect. If you are self-observant, you will notice the gap between what you say you believe and what you actually believe. Before you can effectively create change in your life, you must believe you are worthy to have. Feel you have a right to have a better experience. Most important, you must know that what is going on outside of you is merely a reflection of the conflict within you. Until today, you may have been aware of your own inner conflict or the mixed message you are sending into the world. Just for today, pay very close attention to what you say you want and what you believe about your ability to have it. Today, I am devoted to eliminating the inner conflict that broadcasts mixed messages. All right, that's our two books. That's what I read from to kick the show off. My guest has called in. She is on the line. I'm going to get her introduced as well. She is not a stranger to the Reading Circle, as she was on a few years ago. Harrine Freeman has helped thousands of people nationwide take action and improve their financial status. She is a financial expert, speaker, counselor, writer, CEO and owner of H.E. Freeman Enterprises. H.E. Freeman Enterprises is a financial services company that provides personal finance consulting services such as credit repair, debt reduction, budgeting, saving, planning for retirement, and financial literacy education and training to help consumers improve their financial lives. She is the best-selling author of How to Get Out of Debt, Get an A credit rating for free, a self-help book that provides consumers with a step-by-step plan on how to get out of debt, increase their credit rating, track their spending, and plan for the future. Harrine is a regularly featured financial expert in the media. She has made over 150 media appearances. She has been a guest on NPR, CBS, Fox, NBC, ABC, TV One, and of course right here on WP 88.7 FM. Harrine, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I am well, thanks. How are you?
I am doing well.
Well, I am glad to hear that. I know it's early morning, and as I shared with you in the email or the Facebook post or however we connected there, that I always tell them the early bird gets the worm.
Yes.
So, okay, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to share some information with our listening audience, and then when we come back, we will get on with our interview. Now, I remember we talked before about how to get out of debt, that book. You've written another book since then?
I am working on that book. It won't be out this year.
You're working on it. It's upcoming this year. Okay, so we'll talk back. We'll revisit how to get out of debt, and we'll talk a little bit about the upcoming book. And then when that one is out and released, we'll have you back and we'll talk about that one some more.
Okay, sounds awesome.
Okay, great. Hang on. Listening audience, you know what to do. Get on all your social media sites and let someone know that Harrine Freeman is on the air with me. And we are talking about something that is relevant to anyone, particularly if you are of teenage and older or have a job or have any kind of money. This interview you're going to want to hear because you're going to want to learn how to save it and keep it and be able to spend it wisely and invest it and help it to grow and all that kind of good stuff. And certainly, if you find yourself in debt like so many of us, matter of fact, too many of us do, this is one you're going to want to hear in terms of how to get out of it. So get on all your social media sites, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Pinterest, Facebook, LinkedIn, what's the rest of them? All the rest of them, you know the names. Get on all of them and let someone know that Harrine Freeman is on the air with me right now.
Dude, it is going to be so cool when we're both at college.
Yeah, if I finish my loan application. Wait, this says men. Selective service registration. Uh-oh.
Didn't you register when you turned 18?
No, my guidance counselor talked about it, but I blew it off.
You need to register. It's the law. If you don't, you won't qualify for that student loan, and you won't be enjoying college life. Just go to www.sss.gov or register at your post office. And when you get to college, don't forget to register for classes, too.
Hey, parents of children with asthma, here's another hit from the Breathe Easies.
Don't smoke in the house. Don't smoke in the house. Don't smoke around the kids in the house. Don't smoke in the car. Don't smoke in the house. Don't break my heart with your secondhand smoke in the kids. It can trigger the asthma.
Preventing asthma attacks can be as simple as making your home and car smoke-free zones. For more Breathe Easy tips to help stop asthma attacks, go to noattacks.org. Brought to you by the EPA and the Ad Council.
I was taking those couple of minutes to let the music play, and I was doing exactly what I asked you to do. I was just on all of my social media sites letting folks know that Harrine is on the air with me right now, and to tune in on gobrave.org. And if you're in the northern New Jersey area, WP 88.7 FM radio. Harrine, welcome back to the Reading Circle.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you again for rising early. So let's kind of roll the tape back to refresh our listening audience, and for those if this is their first time listening to the show, let's get into how did you get into financial literacy or into managing finances to the point where you felt the need to even write a book about it? Where did your love or interest for finances come from?
Well, my interest started when I was in college. I had credit cards, and by the time I was a college senior and graduated, I had 13 credit cards, and I owed a total of $19,000 in debt. And then when I graduated, I got my first job, but I lost my job and was unable to make my monthly payments, and so that's how I got started on my financial path. And then I was able to regain employment and got a part-time job. I set up payment plans with all of my creditors. I didn't go out to eat. I didn't buy any new clothes. I didn't go to the hairdresser. I didn't hang out with my friends. I just focused on paying off my debt. And at the time, I was only making $21,000, so my debt was almost equal to my salary. So I was able to pay off all of my debt in a period of 4 years. And then I started helping my family and friends. And then I got financial training and started a business. And then I went on to purchase a house, purchase a car, and started my business. And so my interest came from personal experience and helping others.
So when you talk to folks, you're not telling them what you think, you're actually telling them what you know, based on your personal experience.
Correct. Yes, that is correct.
So your book is How to Get Out of Debt. So and you just explained like your personal story of how it got started. Is it ever too late for anybody to turn it around?
No, it's never too late to turn it around. The problem is that it is a tedious, difficult process, and most people give up during the process.
In terms of when you say tedious and difficult, what is that process that's so difficult? Is it like I know for me, and I'm going to talk to you offline in terms of that process, but is it just getting everything together and figuring out how to best put it under one umbrella, or is it figuring out what's causing that? What is the process that's so difficult?
Well, the main difficulty of the process is admitting that you have a problem. Most people like to be in denial. You know, a lot of people overspend, but they want to be in denial. They want to keep up a certain lifestyle, you know, to impress someone. And so the first step is admitting that you have a problem. And then the second step is actually facing your fears about money, or facing your reserves or whatever negative feelings you have about money. And then you need to sit down and make a plan. If you do not know how to make a plan, you have to hire a financial expert like myself or someone else to help you sort out your financial situation. Either you're overspending, or you don't know how to manage your money, or you don't understand how much debt you owe. So you need to sort those things out. And then when you get everything sorted out, develop a plan to pay back all of your debt, or fix issues on your credit, or create a budget, whatever the case may be.
Now, I'm asking that question because, see, in my case, I know where my credit cards are. And those are simple ones. Those debts, I tell you, where I get lost is the student loans. That's where I get lost in terms, because there's different ones. There's Sally Mae, there's other ones. So when you start getting multiple student loans and then you're trying to pay them back, you think it would be under one umbrella, but it's not. Each one comes after you themselves and, separately. That's where, for me, I start getting lost in terms of trying, okay, how can I get all these under one big loan and just, rather than having Sally Mae here and another one part of the government there and another student loan there. That, for me, I think would be very helpful, because, like I said, as far as the credit cards, I know where they are, and as far as any other debts, I know where they are. But it's just like I said, for me, trying to get those student loans under control is an issue. So how do you coach somebody, or how do you get somebody to discipline themselves? Because for me, I just heard the process, but it sounds like a bigger challenge is the discipline. And maybe that's tied into what you were just saying about the denial.
Right. To getting people to be disciplined about the process. So essentially, what most people don't realize is financial planners, financial advisors, financial counselors, coaches, whatever their title is, they are actually entry-level psychologists, because you actually have to figure out the person's mindset, and then you have to help them change their mindset. The only way they're going to be able to get themselves out of their situation, or the only way you're going to be able to help them get out of their situation, is for them to change their mindset, because that certain mindset has got them to where they are, and they have to change their mindset to get to where they want to go.
Now, going back to what you were saying about being a college student with $19,000 worth of debt, how easy is it for, or shall I say, what traps are set for college students in terms of these credit card companies? Because I know I have two daughters, one that graduated a few years ago and one that's about to graduate on May 7th, and they're inundated with credit card mail. In other words, they can have, free cards and X number of credit limit that they will get in a certain amount and so forth. And it's pretty much, they don't have to do anything but open the envelope and go to the store. How tempting is that, or how easy is that for someone of that 19, 20, 21, 22 age group to really get themselves fouled up based on the advertising of these cards?
It is extremely easy. So basically, there's a lot of reasons for that, but I'll just touch on the two or three. The first reason is that a lot of colleges, especially HBCUs, get funding from credit card companies, millions of dollars of funding from credit card companies. In exchange, the credit card companies can advertise to college students. Secondly, the law says that credit card companies can target college students who are 18 years or older, which are, most college students. And so their information is either sold, shared, or rented to credit card companies and financial institutions. So that's why they're inundated with all of these offers for credit cards. But one thing they can do is opt out of receiving these offers. So they can go to the credit bureau websites for each credit bureau, Equisex, Experian, TransUnion, and then they can block their credit file, which means that companies will no longer be able to send out these pre-approved offers for credit cards in the mail.
So parents out there with college-age students or students in that age range, be very careful, because it is a lot of times the children will get the card in their name. The lists that Harrine was just talking about that they buy from the schools or work with the schools to get actually comes in the child's name. So sometimes you might not even know, because the child has received it in the mail and they're like, wow, this is great. I have $5,000 in credit, $10,000 in credit, and off to Macy's and Nordstrom's and whatever DSW, whatever stores that they fancy, off they go. And it's real easy to just swipe that plastic card and walk out with a bunch of purchases with a bill that's due a month later. And it's one thing to do that for maybe $30, $40 and then you pay it off. It's another thing to run up a tab, which a lot of people do. They run up large tabs because it's really quick. It's really easy. If you've just joined us, my guest this morning is Harrine Freeman. We are talking finances. Let someone know. I'm going to share some more information with you, but while I do that, make sure you're letting someone know that we're talking about a conversation that is relevant to all of us.
I started going cold turkey. Well, at least when I'm in the car.
I know I shouldn't do it, but it's so hard to stop. That's why I hide it from myself, so I won't be tempted.
I used to do it all the time. I stopped by locking it in my glove compartment.
My friend used to do it way too much. Now I turn it off when we're in the car.
My solution is simple. I just don't do it.
There are lots of ways to stop yourself and others from texting and driving. How will you stop? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hey. What's up? Thinking about you. XOXOXO. 1, 2, snuggle, ... JK. Hit me back. You getting these texts? ? We should hang later. I miss you. Holla at ya, boy. Holla back. Holla back. Holla back. Are you at home? Where are you? What are you doing? OMG. You are making me mad. Are you with your ex? You better text me back. I'm waiting outside your house.
Relentless, aggressive texting is like sending an angry robot to deliver your message. When does the robot become dangerous? Let us know at that'snotcool.com.
That'snotcool.com.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
You're listening to The Reading Circle with Marc Medley on Brave New Radio.
Yes, indeed. You are listening to The Reading Circle with Marc Medley. We have a double header this morning. We have Harrine in our first hour. And in our second hour, I'm going to have Omar Tyree. So we're talking finances in this hour, and then we will talk about Omar and his latest ventures in the second hour. So let someone know we are indeed on the air. I just put on my Twitter site and Facebook site. We are talking finances on The Reading Circle this morning. Tune in now on gobrave.org. My guest is Harrine Freeman. Harrine, we were talking about our kids, and I'm going to stay with them for a few minutes. When is the best time? And this is a rhetorical question for me, but I'm asking it to help the listening audience, particularly if you have younger children. I gave part of the answer away. When is the best time to start talking finances with children?
The best time to start talking finances with children is when they start asking you to buy them items at the store, or when they start asking questions about money. So I would say elementary school age.
That's what I thought. And interestingly enough, and I work in a school, I work for a school system in education, and money is not a part of the curriculum. I mean, of course, at the, first, second grade level, you're talking about what's a quarter, what's a dime, what's a nickel. But I'm talking about financial literacy. I'm talking about in terms of savings and checkbooks and stocks and bonds and investing and all that. That's the one thing I remember years ago reading in Kiyosaki's book. They were saying that's the one thing we do the most. It's not in our public schools education. And it's not in terms of, because you were saying something earlier about money as a mindset. Depending on how much money you had in the household kind of determines what kind of mindset you have in terms of if it's a scarcity mindset, if it's a money don't grow on trees mindset, if it's money is the root of all evil mindset. How does all that play into going back to your statement about being a psychologist?
Well, that's one of the reasons why people, when they have the mindset that they do, is because they either inherited it from their parents, relatives, or some family member, or the people that they were surrounded by growing up. They, had the same habits as those people, and so as an adult, they carry those habits with them. And it's really a subconscious thing. Most people aren't really aware that they have inherited financial habits from someone else. And so it really takes some doing to work on those thoughts and to untrain yourself and to train yourself to have new thoughts. It really is a process. And so that's why I said you have to be an elementary level psychologist, because you have to help people first identify those thought patterns and spending habits, and then develop new thought patterns and spending habits that are actually in a positive direction.
Now, there's this thing, and some people know it, but I don't think everyone knows it, but there's this thing called new money and old money. In other words, of having wealth and building wealth, and it comes from those, say, for example, the Kennedys or the Rockefellers or one of those. That's old money. And then you have, someone that would be considered an upstart, maybe even somebody like a Zuckerberg would be considered new money. Talk a little bit about the difference between old money and new money, and then how do you start pretty much in poverty or either with nothing and have the ability to build wealth?
Well, old money is built on the same basic principles. Work hard, save your money, spend less than you earn, invest your money to make your money grow, have passive income, earn money while you're sleeping. And so most people have a hard time following that principle because, especially nowadays, we have an instant gratification society and people want everything right now. They don't want to work for anything. They want everything now, and they want to live a certain lifestyle. But the old money, follows those basic principles. Now, new money, it's really hard to say about new money because the people with new money got their money differently. Some people, I think, just got lucky. Some people, worked hard and were able to reach out to other people with money to help them develop their dream to generate money. So new money is a little different. I would say that they may have followed some of the old principles of old money, but it's not a certainty.
Yeah, it's interesting because at some point, all old money at one point was new money. And generally what happens is when we start talking old money, that means it's passed down from generations. Usually can go from one generation to the next. And like Harrine just said, you start living off interest and start living off investment. And a lot of times the principal is not even touched. It just stays pretty much the same. And you're able to operate off of what the money makes for itself. Matter of fact, you mentioned a term that I want to talk about, and that was the passive income. Talk a little bit about that, and how does one put themselves in a position to have passive income? Because I see that term thrown around, particularly with offers of like internet businesses, businesses of you can make money while you're sleeping. Talk a little bit about that and your knowledge of that.
Well, passive income is basically money that you make, like you said, while you're sleeping, or money that you earn that is not at a 9-to-5 job. So passive income could be you sell a book on your website. You can create a free website with Wix or WordPress. You create a website, you sell a book, you sell a CD, a T-shirt, a mug, a keychain, whatever the product is, and people can buy that product while you're sleeping, and that's how you generate money. And so that's what passive income is. Passive income can also be if you have investments. And so basically, once you set up your investments, they make money for you, and you don't really have to do too much other than check on your account. You maybe rebalance your portfolio, that kind of thing. But those things are passive income, what we were talking about with the old money. So they have passive income where they make money, and they don't have to go to a 9-to-5 job or actually work to make that money.
Let's talk a little bit about, because while we're on this subject, in terms of money mentality, is there a difference between, say, for example, ethnic groups you may deal with? Is there a difference between dealing with African Americans versus Caucasians? Because, again, generally, because of our history or historically, many of our Caucasian families did have wealth and money to pass along to generation to generation. In many instances, African Americans did not have that wealth to pass along to generations. Do you find a difference in the mindsets when you're dealing with an African American client versus a Caucasian client versus an Asian client, so forth and so on?
Yes, there are some differences racially as well as individually, but in general, most, I won't say most, but in general, some African Americans have a scarcity or poverty mindset. And so, rather than taking their money and saving it, they would rather go buy the latest gadget, the latest pair of sneakers, the latest clothes, the latest car, an expensive car, even though they may be living in an apartment, or even though they may already owe debt. And so the other races use basic principles of, don't overspend your money, save your money, invest your money, and plan for the future. And so they are typically in a better position when it comes to finances than minority groups.
The next question may seem like a dumb question, but again, it's for the benefit of those who are listening. And sometimes you really don't even realize it. And let's get back to the mindset thing that Harrine was talking about again. How dangerous is keeping up with the Joneses?
It is very dangerous because the people that you're trying to keep up with, or the people that you so-called believe are successful or doing financially well, are really not. They are probably overspending to keep up a certain lifestyle because they want to impress someone. And they're really overspending and in a lot of debt and probably have bad credit. So that's not something you want to do. You never want to emulate someone unless you know for 100% certainty that they have good financial habits. So, someone like Oprah, well, she has good financial habits. Someone like Warren Buffett, Magic Johnson, these people have good financial habits. And so you want to emulate yourselves. You don't want to emulate yourself, on a rapper or in a professional athlete unless you have specifically heard in the news that they are living below their means and investing their money and creating passive income.
I'm going to share some more information with the audience, but before I do, because you touched on the whole athlete thing, and I am always absolutely blown away at an athlete that has been a multi-millionaire and winds up homeless. That I have read cases of actually guys that I've gone to either Madison Square Garden or at the time whenever it was Byrne Arena here in New Jersey where the Nets played. I've actually seen some of these guys playing ball that were making multi-million dollars and then read about them some years later homeless on the streets in Florida somewhere. How does that happen?
That happens, again, because of poverty mentality, but also it happens for a number of other reasons. Professional athletes are more susceptible to people who take advantage of them. Sometimes their financial planners, their accountants or lawyers steal money from them. And so sometimes the money that they think they have, they don't really have. And so they're overspending because of fraud. And then there are other cases where they are advised to, invest in this great idea or this great product or this great investment tip, and it doesn't work out, and they end up losing a lot of money. And then other times they just have poor spending habits, and then especially the rookie athletes, they spend time and socialize with the veteran athletes, and they try to keep up the lifestyle that they have, and they put themselves in a financial bind instead of focusing on planning for the future and creating a retirement plan and saving their money. And so when they leave retirement, many people assume that the athletic industry has, a retirement plan. They do have a retirement plan, but it is significantly less than the salary that they get paid. And so they're unable to survive on that money that they receive. And so in many cases, they cannot even pay their basic bills. And so that's why you hear about so many of them losing their $1 million homes, losing their cars, because reality has set in and they realize that they did not plan properly for the future.
Wow. If you've just joined us, my guest is Harrine Freeman. Harrine is a financial literacy coach, for lack of a better term. There's other titles for it, but I'm just calling it right now a coach in terms of helping one to get out of debt. As a matter of fact, her book is How to Get Out of Debt, Get an A Credit Rating for Free. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in this last half hour or so that we're on the air together, especially for the ordinary average Joe or Joette. You just heard us talking about the athletes who make millions, and you heard us talk a little bit about old money and new money. But as we go into the last half hour of the show, if you will, we're going to see if we can come up with some tips for your everyday person who's making maybe $50,000 a year, $90,000 a year, $150,000 a year. How can they best maximize their money? Because truth be told, a lot, even if you're making $100,000 a year and you're $200,000 in debt, you're already behind the eight ball. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Let someone know that Harrine is on the air with me. That again, this is not an interview that you want to miss because it's full of helpful tips, and that's where we're getting ready to go into. I'm not going to have her give everything because we want you to get the book. That's the whole point. We want you to get the book, How to Get Out of Debt, and you can get the paperback or the hard copy of it as well as the electronic version, but we'll talk a little bit about that at the end of the interview. But the book is How to Get Out of Debt, Get an A credit rating for free.
My name is Diamonds. I am a radio DJ in North Jersey. I broadcast on the frequency of 88.7 FM. I will be on the air every Saturday from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. when the sun is setting in the sky. If you are out there, if anyone is out there, I can provide music, I can provide entertainment. If there's anybody out there, anybody, please.
Club Melting Pot. Every Saturday from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Only on WP 88.7 FM, Brave New Radio.
You're listening to The Reading Circle with Marc Medley on Brave New Radio.
This is The Reading Circle. We come to you live each Saturday morning from 6 o'clock a.m. to kind of whenever. And I say that only because in many instances on some Saturdays or many Saturdays, we actually do a double. And every now and again, we'll do a triple. That's where I'll have two guests. So that even though I'm on the air for 3 hours, sometimes all 3 of the hours will be taken up with the Reading Circle guests. And other times, all 3 of the hours will be taken up with the gospel music, the good news and song. And because I have the flexibility in format, that gives me an opportunity to really maximize in terms of the number of guests I can speak with each year. Well, my guest this morning is Harrine Freeman, and we're talking about a subject that for some, matter of fact, I would almost venture to guess most, is a topic, even though it's relatively simple, it is extremely confusing for many. And because it's confusing, we mismanage it. And because we mismanage it, we don't have enough of it. And in some cases, we really do have enough. We just don't maximize what we do have, which makes it look like we don't have enough. That's what we're talking about this morning. So, Harrine, I want to get down to the basics because part of your title in your book is a quote unquote credit rating. First off, what is a credit rating? And I'm going back to the basics. What is a credit rating and what is the number, the magic number that signifies if you're an A, B, C, D, E, F, whatever? Let's talk a little bit about what is a credit rating?
A credit rating is basically a credit score, and your credit score is used to indicate the likelihood that you will pay your bills on time. And it is a score that is used by financial institutions, banks, insurance companies, as well as service providers such as internet service, cable service, or utility companies.
What happens if you fall into a situation where you pay most of yours? Matter of fact, let's say, for example, and I'm just going to use round numbers, you have 5 bills. You pay 4 of them on time all the time, and 1 you don't pay or either is always late. What does that do to the credit rating?
That dramatically lowers your credit score. So it starts from any bill that has been 30 days late or more, reduces your credit score by, by points. We don't really know how many points because the company that created the score was the Fair Isaac Company, and they don't release that information, but it lowers your credit score and causes you to have that credit.
So, all right, so in the example that I use, you pay 4 of your bills on time every month, and then 1 is always late for whatever reason or either, and that lowers your credit score. How do you now turn that around and get your credit score to start going the other way? Let's say, for example, that 5th bill now, you start paying on time and you don't mess up the other 4. Does that automatically get your credit rating back up, or does that take time?
It does take time. It takes time. And so once you have made payments on time for at least 6 months, you should definitely see your credit score increase for that 5th bill. And then as you continue to make payments on time, your score will go up. And so basically it's all about time. You know, it took time for you to lower your credit score, and it definitely takes time for your score to go up. It is not an overnight process. That's why I want your listeners to understand. A lot of people think if they pay off a bill or if they get current on account, that credit score goes up instantly. It does not. It is a tedious, long process once you have bad credit to restore your credit to good standing.
Now, how do things such as short sales in houses or foreclosures or bankruptcies, how do those things impact your credit rating?
Those items weigh your credit score down the most, and they stay on your credit report for 7 years. And so it makes it difficult for you to open a new credit card account or loan account when you have those particular situations.
Even your creditors that you do have and you're in good standing with, they begin lowering your credit amount. Am I correct? In other words, they'll look at your...
In some cases, they do. They have the ability to do that, but they do not always. So if you find yourself in a situation where one of your creditors reduces your interest rate or lowers your credit card limits, because of a late account that you currently have, you can call them and ask them not to do that. You can ask them to keep your current credit limit or keep your current interest rate. But they do have, all companies have the option of doing that, but they do not all implement it.
So for someone, let's say, for example, what's a worst case scenario? And I know that would vary depending on so many different variables. But someone in a worst case scenario, because at some point, everyone is going to need to pay some rent or a mortgage or to buy a car or to do something. And you can actually get handcuffed by a bad credit rating. How do you now still be able to do those things? Or it's just a matter of whomever you're dealing with is just going to charge you like an exorbitant interest rate because of your bad credit rating? Or do you just get blocked out altogether, like they just won't allow you to do it?
Well, because financial institutions are in the business to make money, no one is completely locked out unless you just have never paid any bills on time. So they have what they call the subprime market, and that's basically for people with bad credit who have filed foreclosure, short sale, have late payments, haven't paid their bills on time. And so companies will give you credit, will approve you for a loan, but the interest rate will be exorbitant, and you may have to pay fees up front and that kind of thing. And so but the main thing that listeners want to do is try to get the best credit score possible so that you do not have to pay high interest rates. So, for example, someone with good credit can get a mortgage loan at 3%, 4%, 4.25%, a car loan at 1.99% or 2.99%. However, someone with bad credit may have to pay, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11% for a mortgage loan, and for a car loan, they may have to pay 5 or 6% or more. And so in terms of monthly payment, that is a big difference in how much you have to pay each month because of your bad credit. You not only pay more in your monthly payment, but you pay more in interest over the life of that loan.
Now, see, just listening to that seems counterintuitive, only because if I was struggling or if I didn't pay prior, and now you do give me a loan that's going to be a higher rate that's going to cause me to pay more, that just seems like an oxymoron, or either, what do they call it, a paradox, or anything that's considered opposite. That seems like it's like you're going to charge me more of something that I already couldn't do.
Yes. Well, like I said, companies are in the business to make money. And so by extending credit to you, you are actually a financial risk for them because they are not sure if you will be able to make your monthly payments. And so as a way to offset that or balance that, they charge you a higher interest rate and charge you more money so that they can sort of, offset the chance that you don't pay that particular bill.
So if you're counseling somebody, generally, what's the first step? What's your first, if you come in there and folks have a shoebox full of receipts or a shoebox full of bills, I may not even have that. What's your first step?
The first step is to actually look at their overall financial situation and see where they are. If they have receipts, look at those. If they have statements, look at those. If they don't have any statements, then the first thing that I have to sort of train them to do or get them in the habit of doing is tracking their spending. That is so important. Many people don't track their spending because we have an instant gratification society. They have what I call swipe items. So they basically use that plastic card and to make purchases, and they don't track their spending. And so they don't really have an idea of what they're spending and where that money is going. They don't know if they're spending too much money in clothes or eating out or shopping or vacations. And so you really need to be accountable for what you're spending and really sit down and create a budget or spending plan to track your money to see where it's going. And once you see where your money is going, then you can develop a plan to reduce spending in a particular area or more than one area.
One of the things you mentioned was calling your creditors. How important is that to stay in touch with them, either to let them know I'm going to be late or I can't pay or I'm going to pay early or whatever your situation may be? Is that one of the steps as well as staying in communication with your creditors?
That is one of the most critical steps that most people neglect to do. You need to stay in constant communication with your creditor, even if you cannot make the minimum monthly payment, because you want them to know that even though you're having a financial hardship or you're unable to pay your bill, you are working towards improving your situation and paying that bill, because you want to prevent them from taking negative action against you by taking you to court or garnishing your paycheck or filing a judgment against you. And so some companies have actually programs to help people in those particular situations. So it's important that you reach out to your creditors, even with the very first time that you have a 30-day late payment.
You just mentioned the garnishing of the paycheck. How is that seen on a credit report if your check is being garnished, if your salary is being garnished? Is that seen kind of like as a, I'm trying to think of, what is that when they pull it out before you even see it? Is that kind of like a debit type program, or is that seen as something negative?
No, that is seen as something negative. So a wage garnishment is basically where a company has filed a judgment against an individual, and they won the judgment, and they go to the person's employer and request that the employer take the money out of the worker's paycheck to pay a particular debt.
And once you're in that situation, how do you get out of that, or what would you need to do to get out of that?
So, I only give you general information. I don't want to give too much away in the book, but
no, that's what because I'm throwing these things. No, don't get me. I'm throwing these things out there because again, these are the type answers and questions that are in the book. This is why for those of us who are in that situation, it's a very good book to walk you through these various situations that I'm bringing up with Harrine. So no, don't get specific, but I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, and I think I asked the question earlier about, is it in any of these situations, is it ever too late?
No, it's never too late. And so the key is you have to communicate with the company. And so that's the main thing that listeners want to know. If you have a notice about any negative action regarding a past due account, contact the company and find out what you can do to set up a payment plan to pay it back that account. No matter if it's a foreclosure, a short sale, a repossession, a judgment, a wage garnishment, tax lien, whatever situation you're going through, contact the company and stay in constant communication, and they can provide you with different options to help you through that situation.
You said something again earlier, because as we talk, I always tell my guests I don't have like a set of questions sitting in front of me. Literally, the questions are developed as we talk. You talked earlier about retirement. Talk a little bit about how significant that is, because I can truly say, and this is another one of those instances, it's not what I think, it's what I know. 30 years went by like nothing. Now, when you're on the front end of 30 years, it seems like a long way off. But when you're on the back end of 30 years, it seems like it went extremely quick. How important is it to be preparing for retirement?
It is extremely important to prepare for retirement, and you have to make sure you save enough money, which is why no matter what your salary is, you need to hire a financial advisor or financial planner to ensure that you have enough money to last you through your retirement years. And most people do not save enough. No, even people who make six figures do not save enough for retirement. And you don't want to just assume that Social Security or that you will even be able to get Social Security to help you through retirement. And so you really need to develop a plan. No matter how old you are at this particular moment, you need to reach out to a financial planner or a financial advisor, develop a plan to see how much money you actually need to save for retirement, and to just get some guidance and advice on how to make sure that you live comfortably in retirement instead of having to be forced to go back to work or to work while you're being forced to work while you're in retirement. Some people work while they're in retirement, but it's a choice. You don't want to be forced to have to work while you're in retirement. A lot of times you may see elderly people, working at a Walmart or Target because they don't have enough money to sustain themselves in retirement, and you don't want that to happen.
For those of you like in your 20s, listen to us, hear us, because hindsight is 20/20. And as I just said, you think if you're on the front end, if you're 20, thinking in terms of you being 55 and 65 and 75, it's real easy for you to say, that's a long way off. I'll deal with that when I get there. But once those 30 or 40 years go by, if you have not done that, you're going to wish you had. So the tips that we're sharing with you right now, take them to heart. The book is How to Get Out of Debt. Harrine offers other services that we're going to share shortly. But before I even get into that, one of the first questions I asked Harrine was, she was working on another book. Harrine, what's the title of the new book, or what's the concept if you haven't put a title on it yet?
I have not put a title on it yet, but the concept is the same concept. It's a book about finances. I talk about investing. I talk about how to purchase a home. I talk about how to recover from a financial crisis like we're discussing, repossession, foreclosure. I talk about how to invest your money and plan for retirement. And so I talk about, lots of different topics, budgeting, credit, how to pay off your debt, and how to deal with telemarketers, and so how to maintain your good credit. And so the book will be out. I haven't set a date yet, but the book will be out this year, so I will definitely keep you posted about that.
No, definitely. Because first off, I want to get a copy of the book. I have your other one. I have How to Get Out of Debt. And I definitely want to get a copy of what you just described. The next one is going to be, because this is a serious situation. Because like I said, it's when you start talking money, for many, it seems like something, okay, you know what, I have $100. I need to figure out, 10% I'll tithe, 10% I'll save, I'll work with the other 80%. But it doesn't come up that simple with just regular life. There's always something, an emergency or something that comes up that could get in the way of that plan. And then when you start taking it to another level of investing in stocks, see, that's a whole nother language right there. When you start talking about stocks and bonds and in portfolios and mutual funds and 401ks, that's a whole different language that for a lot of people throws them. What do you say to those folks, or how do you learn that language? Because really it's like a language. Like, I'm a musician, so for me, looking at music notes, I know what that is because I've studied music. But for somebody who hasn't studied music, that's just black and white dots. It's the same thing in terms of for investing. When you start getting into this, like I said, financial language, how do you learn that, or what's the best way to get that down? Or is it like learning Spanish or music or any other language?
Well, I would say it's like learning any other language, but you have to want to learn it. So, if you're not an expert, so, when you're sick, you go to a doctor. When your car needs to be repaired, you go to a mechanic. But when people need help with their finances, they never seek expert advice. And so really finances are really what controls everything else in your life. And so it's really important that your listeners get education. You can either do self-education by reading articles, reading books, listening to your radio show, or watching TV shows, or hiring an expert. So either one of those choices to help you gain knowledge about finances, and just even having the basic knowledge, because when you're dealing with people in the financial industry, you want to make sure that you're getting sound advice, and you want to make sure that you're not being taken up and being victimized.
And it's interesting you would say that, because one of the companies and I won't mention their name, but I don't even remember it even if I wanted to. I'm not sure if it's TD. It's one of them. They have a funny commercial out now where they're talking about that very thing you just talked about, where the young man comes in a suit and a tablet and briefcase, and he comes in talking about financial planning. And the punchline is, would you believe this guy is a financial planner or what have you? And the characters in the commercial say, yes. Oh, yes, he's a financial. So then the guy turns around, you may have seen the commercial. He says, no, I'm not. I'm not a financial planner. I'm a DJ. and they show him pictures of him prior to him getting his hair cut and putting the suit on. And he starts dancing around and everything. And the point of the commercial is they're showing people, because we don't know a lot about finances, how easy it is to be fooled. That anyone that walks in with a suit and a briefcase, and if they're talking finances, does not necessarily mean they're a financial planner. And that's what they're trying to say, that, of course, their people are the pros to go to this particular company. But it's an interesting ad that says a lot in terms of the financial knowledge of your average person. And Harrine is exactly right in terms of going to the expert, because generally in finances we don't, and that's what I was saying earlier about it not being taught in school, not at the grammar school level. That's the most important area in our lives, and that's an area that's not in the curriculum.
Yes, you are absolutely correct. It is not in the curriculum, but it is a critical item that needs to be in the curriculum, because the habits that you develop when you're small carry over into adulthood.
All right, we're down to the last few minutes of the interview in terms of your services. One of the questions I have for you: do you serve just your area, or is it kind of like, I know, like with lawyers, they're licensed in a state. Same thing with educators. You're licensed for the state that you're in. Does the same thing hold true for financial planners, or can you, like, say for example, if I wanted to contract you or hire you, I live in New Jersey, you're in Washington, would I be able to do that?
Yes, as long as you you can get licenses to practice nationwide, and so yes, I do service clients nationwide.
So you can, so you're not just limited to your specific area, so you can take clients. And so
yes, I can take clients nationwide.
And they wouldn't have to come to you face a lot of, and I know with technology now, I'm quite sure a lot of it can be done online. So I'm assuming, and maybe that's a bad assumption, but I'm assuming that that's how you'd be able to handle a client in California.
Yes, you can communicate online, email, telephone. The technology has made it a lot easier to communicate with people who are not in your same area. So
not only did you write the book, but you actually started your own company.
Yes, I did. I am an entrepreneur. Yes, I started my own company.
So I tell you what, it's 7 o'clock. There's a couple of things I need to do, like give the weather and all that kind of good stuff. Hang on, because Omar will be calling in about 7:25 or 7:30. But let me do the weather and all that stuff that I need to do. And I want to talk a little bit about your company, and then you can promote and say anything except the dollar amount. And then we'll be out, and I'll be getting ready for my next guest. So if you hold on a few minutes, we will get all that done, and then I want to talk a little bit about your company and your services so folks know, especially since you're nationwide, how they can get a hold of you to help out with the finances. Because like you said, we go, like, and funny you mentioned car mechanic, because I just had to put my car in the mechanic yesterday. And wow, that was a whopper of a bill. So, but you're right. When something goes wrong with your cars or with you medically or with other areas, we don't hesitate to go to an expert, but in finances, we either try to figure it out or we don't figure it out. So I want you to talk a little bit about your services when we come back, and then we will be on our way, and you can go on the way for the rest of your day, and I'll get ready for my second guest.
WPSC, Wayne, New Jersey. On the radio, 88.7 FM. Online, GoBrave.org. A tune-in radio station. Part of the William Patterson Broadcast Network.
Broadcasting live from Hobart Hall in Wayne, New Jersey. This is the innovative.
I think they're really unique.
The fearless. They have awesome variety. The kick-ass. I love Brave New Radio. The sensational.
I've never heard anything like it.
This is the one and only Brave New Radio.
Straight from the WP 88.7 FM Weather Center, here's your local forecast.
Right now, 33.8 degrees in the northern New Jersey area, in the Wayne, New Jersey area, 33.8. We're working our way up to 56 as a high. Going to move back to 35 as a low this evening. It's going to be sunny today, a few passing clouds tonight. Then on Sunday, tomorrow, Easter, 55 as a high, 38 as a low. Sunshine and clouds mixed, partly cloudy Sunday night. And then on Monday, occasional rain, high of 61, low of 37. Tuesday, 55 as a high, 30 as a low, partly cloudy skies, high near 55. Low again of 30, mostly clear on Tuesday night. And then on Wednesday, 58 as a high, 42 as a low, sunny along with a few clouds, partly cloudy skies on Wednesday night. Well, that is the weather brought to you right here from the WP 88.7 FM Weather Center. Well, if you've just joined us, I've been talking with Harrine Freeman since about 6:05 or so, somewhere around that time. And we've been talking finances. And Harrine has written a book and is in the process of writing her second book. But she also has her own company, H.E. Freeman Enterprises. So, Harrine, talk a little bit about that and how, if anybody wanted to use your services, how they would go about reaching you. You also have the opportunity to, again, shout out the book and everything you want to talk about. The only thing you can't do on the air is talk about your rates or the price. But anything short of that, you know, if you're going to be doing any book signings, anywhere you're going to be, how we can get you to, you know, to use you as our financial coach, any of that you're free to do now.
All right. Well, that is great. Thanks so much for having me. And I am on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. Again, the name of my book is How to Get Out of Debt, Get an A credit rating for free. And my website is hefreemanenterprises.com. My phone number is 202-670-4794. If any of your listeners want to reach out to me for financial services, my email is hfreeman@hefreemanenterprises.com. And again, I am on social media. My name is spelled Harrine, and the last name is Freeman, Freeman, and it's Harrine Freeman. And if anyone wants to ask me any questions, they can reach out to me on social media as well.
Wait a minute. Now, how do you say Harrine? How do you say it? Because I've been calling you Harrine. Is it Harrine? It's Harrine.
Harrine, like Marion with an H.
Oh, Harrine. There you go. Well, I apologize because I'm big on names. And I hate to mispronounce because I hate folks mispronouncing or misspelling mine. So I hate mispronouncing or misspelling it. So it's Harrine.
Yeah.
Got it. Harrine. That's it. That way, Harrine. All right. I don't know why I was calling you Harrine, but Harrine. There you go. As a matter of fact, I think we went through that the last time we were on the air. But in any event, it is Harrine Freeman Enterprises. She has the book, as she said. She is on all these social media sites because most of the ones I'm on, she's on, and we kind of stay connected that way. And you never know, I may be calling you to coach me on some finances myself because it is somewhat of a blind spot for me. Like I said, I know the basics, but when you really start getting deep into it, that's whenever, you know, sometimes you can get lost in the sauce, as they say. But I am looking forward to your second book. Like I said, I have the first one. I'm looking forward to the second one. And all of my guests always have an open invite, particularly when they're working on new projects. So whenever the new project is done, we'll come back again and we'll continue the conversation. And this conversation is so important for so many people. I don't have a problem with you coming back as many times because, again, it's an area that if you ever want to get fouled up, you get fouled up in those finances, and it is a tangle web once you do. But for those who do it well, they live comfortably. And interesting enough, as Harrine said, the richest people, you really wouldn't know it. Whenever Sam Walton and all of them was alive, and Warren Buffett and all that, you would not know them by the car they drive, because Walton, if I remember the story correctly, or maybe it's Buffett, drove a pickup truck, like a Ford pickup truck. You would not know wealthy people based on cars they drive or based on some of their clothing or what have you. A lot of times you will know those who are in poverty because, like Harrine said earlier, those are the ones that'll go out here and buy the $200 Jordans. They haven't paid rent, but they're buying $200 Jordans, or they're buying the Escalade with the gold rims and all that kind of nonsense. people who are truly wealthy, they don't do all of that. They really don't. So I'm just saying all that to say, if there's an area to get screwed up in, generally it's in the finances, and it can be very difficult to get out, and someone like Harrine can show you the way out. So Harrine, I thank you so much for rising early. I do record the show, and whenever I'm done editing and everything I need to do with it, I'll send you a copy of the link, and you are free to do anything you would like with it.
Thank you so much for having me.
And again, thank you for rising, because I know it's early. I laugh whenever my guests respond to the time. And many times my guests are calling from California. So when it's 6 o'clock here, it's 3 o'clock there.
Wow.
But for those who don't rise early, they have the opportunity to go to my YouTube channel, and they can hear all the interviews there. They can just click the button. It's not a video, but they can hear it. They see pictures of us, and they can hear it. But that's where the show now has been for the last maybe 6 months to a year. I've been archiving them on YouTube, and that's worked out really well. So it'll be archived there. I'll send you the links, and you can, like I said, do what you like with it.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care and have a wonderfully blessed day and a wonderful Easter.
Yes, you too.
Thank you very much. Take care now.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. That is the end of the first hour of the Reading Circle with Mark.